All right, everybody. Welcome to the Contextual Christian Church Bible Study, where today we're going to read Isaiah chapter 32, verses 1 to 15. I'm going to pray it in. Everybody, bow your heads. Father, thank you for getting us on another Bible study today to continue through Isaiah. Now that we're in Isaiah 32, I pray that what we're getting to today may be a context that may be over a topic we've discussed, a context that may be going into maybe something that has something to do with our worship service, or yeah, those two things are what I'm praying for this particular study. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen. All right. So last time what we had gotten into, we finished up both chapter 30 and 31 because 31 was only nine verses. And what we finished up in chapter 30 was God continuing his point with saying that anyone who's trying to avoid or thinking they can get away with not serving him and not trusting in him and trusting in something else, you're going to go through some damage. You're not getting away with it. Even using examples of a Syrian being beaten down with a stick, and anywhere that rod goes, or a rod, and anywhere that it goes and the staff goes on the ground, that all that is going to get it too. And that Tophet, which was an area for where they had sacrificed children, as evil as that is, that's been ordained to be destroyed for a long time before now, or that time in the Bible, I should say. And then we got into Isaiah chapter 31. And though similar and definitely the same overall talking point, was about it brought up about Egypt, not going down to Egypt to trust in Egypt. And really, what it was bringing up was how stupid it is to trust man rather than trusting God, considering the reasoning for trusting man and how God is stronger, smarter, better in every way. Then it went to bring up about how God defends his people and how they need to turn back to God. It brought up about how when the time comes, when that day comes, everyone's going to be casting away their idols. So do it now before it's too late, in other words. And the very last section that we got into really was bringing up about how the Assyrian, again, how they're going to fall with the sword, but it's not because they're fighting, they're fleeing from the sword. They're afraid and they're going to lose their place. And the very last part, like when he flees, he's fleeing trying to find a stronghold, trying to find a place that he can feel secure from his fear, from dying. But it's not going to make a difference. And so now today, we're going to continue on to the next chapter and we'll see if it's connected or not as we go to read. I'll switch it to our first section so our first reader can read. All right, go ahead, unmute Charles, and go ahead when you're ready.
I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 32, verses 1 to 5. Give it a couple seconds. Verse 1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful.
Well, we know this has to be
So
talking about the future because the vile person is still called liberal. No, I'm just playing. But go ahead.
this is separate from our last section. So we're getting into something new right now.
Good.
And let me reread Let me reread two. And the man shall be as in, I'm doing this for a specific reason. And a man shall be an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. I want to reread four too. The
Yeah,
heart
no problem.
also, the heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers.
Why
There
do
we
you
go.
pause like that?
The stammerers.
Yeah, you say stammerers, like just
It it
stammerers.
it's a it's it keeps throwing me off. That's on me. It's just throwing me off.
Oh, okay. I'm like, you
It's
keep on
throwing me off.
pausing in the
That's
middle of the word.
that's my fault because it just keeps throwing me off. Stammerers. I gotta say it. I gotta say it. Just get it out fast, or I'm just
Yeah,
gonna hesitate again.
stammerers.
Stammerers. Yeah, it has to be fast though. Shall be ready to speak plainly. Now, the reason why I wanted to reread two and reread four is with uh, one, two, four, and five. This all just how. Let me make sure I get this out right. This all is bringing up like it all has like a there's an overall point with this whole with my whole section, which is why I didn't want to separate anything. I wanted to make one to five my section because with everything I'm reading, this sounds like it's trying to get to an overall point. I hope that's making sense of what I'm
It
saying.
makes sense what you're saying, but it's not accurate with the verses.
Okay.
Look at each verse and tell me the overall point before you go into detailed explanation. When you're in verse 1, what's the overall point saying?
The rule shall be righteous. It'll be done right. The rule will be done right. The king will rule right. The princes will judge right.
Exactly. Then we get to 2. What's the overall point?
This is saying how the man's gonna be like a covering, a safety net.
Now, is righteous ruling, does that have anything to do with being a safety net?
No, it doesn't.
Now, go to 3.
And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. Eyes will see and ears will hear.
So we got in verse 1, we got about righteous judgment. In verse 2, we got about a man being a covering for others. In verse 3, we got that people aren't going to go blind. Those that are able to see, they're going to be able to see. And those that have ears to hear, they're going to be able to hearken. Well, what does it mean to hearken?
To listen.
Not just listen, listen and obey. If you hearken to my voice, you're not just listening to what I said, you're also following my instructions. To hearken is to listen and follow directions, or listen and obey, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So in 3, we got it saying that people are going to be listening and following directions. Then we got 4. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge. So those that are quick on things, those that have no patience, they're going to be able to understand knowledge. So if you want to say that the overall point is combined, there is a possibility for that. However, there is no connecting point at this time to all the verses. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the curl said to be bountiful. Name one thing that any verse has in common with any other.
Not more so like a commonality. It was just what I was thinking about was when I read all of this, I thought about when you're following God's will and God's way the way you're supposed to, this is what it would look like. The righteous kingdomhood, the covering,
But
listening and obeying what you just brought
here's the
up.
problem with that. Here's the problem with that. We don't have anything to tie it together yet, do we?
No, we
You're
don't.
assuming there will be. And what don't we do in his church?
We don't assume. You mean I'm assuming as in like because I don't. I was just thinking like that was one option, not as like the final, the only option.
I would
But
say
that's
it's
what
a
I was thinking
likely
about.
option too, but we don't have confirmation for that.
Right.
If we get something to confirm that we're talking about this is all going to happen at the end times, and this is what it's going to be like when everybody who is following God is living with them in Jerusalem before the end. If we get something to show that, awesome, your point stands. And we can look back to these verses and be like, okay, they were all connected. But we don't have that confirmation yet to say that. So at
Right.
this time, every verse needs to be explained in its separate verse because we don't have anything to show that it's about a specific time.
We don't have
Now,
anything to
is
prove
it
that all of them should go
likely?
together. Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Is it
Uh-huh.
likely? Yeah, it's likely. I mean, if you look at everything, they're all are things that would they don't normally happen in day to day, but would happen under God's righteous judgment. So it is likely, but we don't have any confirmation yet to say that.
Got it.
So I would say for now, um, there is no section. You got to explain every verse, but they are likely connected. All right, now go ahead with your explanation.
Got it. First one, when it talks about a king reigning in righteousness, prince judge ruling in judgment, the king is ruling in the way, reigning in the way he's supposed to. Righteousness. These are God's righteousness. Let me say that for anybody want to get technical. Doing what he's supposed to do, and the prince is judging the way they're supposed to, not judging because of riches or because I like this person more. You're doing it in the way you're supposed to. Second verse, and the men shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest. Oh, and as a river of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So all of these are talking about man being the covering, being that protection, and also giving substance. I forgot about the rivers in the dry place. Then I got verse 3. And the eyes of them, oh, this is talking about the eyes seeing everything. The eyes aren't, no, we're not talking about blind people here. People can see. Eyes wide open. And you're talking about ears of them will hear, shall hearken. They will listen and obey. Forgot about that extra point. Thanks for bringing that up, Matt. So
Mhm.
people that can see and people that will listen and obey. Verse 4, also thanks for bringing this up earlier. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge. The people that are not patient, the heart of the rash, you're those that are quick, you'll understand. Well, if you're a person who is heart of rash and you understand, guess what changes you're going to make? You're not going to be so rash now, are you? When you have that understanding, when you have that knowledge. And the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. Tongue of the stammerers. No, that was a different word we got into earlier or before, not stammerers. Let me go to Strong's. From an unused
Mhm.
root meaning to stutter. Really?
Mhm.
I stuttered saying the word. That's the definition.
Yep.
It don't get no better than that. Oh, that is hilarious. And the tongue of the stutters shall be ready to speak plainly. That is hilarious. So the people who don't have good speeches can speak plainly. I stuttered
Exactly.
saying the word. Oh man, I gotta star this when this is uploaded. Next, the vile person shall be no more called liberal. Let me make sure the liberal they use is the same. Let me see if it's the same as the way we use it. From H5068, properly voluntary, that is generous, Hence. Okay, so almost the same in the sense where like liberal in there's a sense of like you want like there's more. You're not saving. You're it's one of those like you want more, you have more, you're getting more abundantly versus like storing. Um I hope that's making sense. I might have to do that I might have to explain liberal in a different way.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's the
Okay.
same thing. But you were wrong about it. It's the same as liberals today. Liberals
It is.
today want handouts. They want everything given to people. That's what a liberal is in the way the liberals are today. They don't believe that everybody should earn their own keep. They believe everybody should just have access.
And you're just
So,
spreading the wealth everywhere for no just cuz.
exactly.
So the vile
Exactly.
person won't be called that person. Won't be called liberal anymore.
Exactly.
Nor the can we say churl on this one or this one curl?
I think it's churl, but look it up to be sure.
Give me a second. Let me go to this.
Because I think that's an English word.
So do I. It's churl.
Okay.
Nor the churl said to be bountiful. Now the churl, you're gonna have to help me with this one with churl. Strong's definition from H3557 in the sense of withholding. Then it says let me spell this out because it does say this in the strong. Niggardly.
Nigg.
Ardly. Niggardly. I kid you not, it's in the strongs.
That might be. Remember, originally that word did not reference black folk. It referenced poor
Mm.
folk, people who had no access. Like if you look up the original definition of the word, look it up real quick.
Go. On Google, right?
Yep.
Definition. Ungenuous, stingy, in a
Yeah.
stingy or meager manner. That changes everything.
It existed before it was used for black folk, but then later on it was used to characterize black folk that were slaves.
Which is funny because going back to the Strongs from H3557 in the sense of withholding, what are you doing when you're stingy? What are you
Hmm.
you're withholding?
Exactly.
So
So those that are withholding, they're not going to be said to be bountiful. So you'll have nothing to hold.
interesting.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of. That was the last part.
No?
Not that I can
You
think of.
sure? Didn't you bring up something as a possibility at the beginning as to why you thought they
Um,
were connected?
why I thought they were connected. There's we need a portion to confirm this, but this is everything I was thinking about here is talking about a time where when you're following God's will and God's way the way you're supposed to, this is what it looks like. All the stuff that I described, this is what it looks like.
I was wondering if you were going to see it or not. I didn't think you would, but I was hoping. Look at verse 2.
Go back. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land.
That can be looked at two ways, depending on if your hypothesis is right. The first one is just a man in general. But the second one should be talking about Jesus. Isn't Jesus a covering from the storm
Yes,
and
he is.
replenishment for the things we need?
Yes, he is.
And then in verse 3, and the eyes of them that see shall not dim. So the ones who are able to understand, they're going to continue to be able to understand. And the ones that have ears that are able to hear, they're going to obey. They're going to listen and obey. So if we look at it as just a general timeline of when God's in control, we can look at it like that, and it's not necessarily talking about Christ. But if we look at it in the comparisons to who Christ was and is, and what the people were like around him, it also has the possibility about speaking about Christ. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
All right. Now, does anybody have? Oh wait, actually, also about the ability to speak plainly, and those that are rash, able to understand knowledge. All of that makes sense if we think about the time of Christ and what Christ did for people. Now then, any comments or questions as we go to the second section? Now would be the time to raise your hand. All right. Then I'll go ahead with verse 6 to 10. I'll give everybody a second. All right. Verse 6. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. All right, so first and foremost, obviously, verse 6, is it connected to the last verses, Charles?
Yeah. for the vile person, because the vile person. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when it points it out, the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord. And even brings up about them making empty the souls that are hungry. And the ones that are thirsty, the drink they give them, it's going to fail them. Well, where have we seen a similar thing to this? If we're talking metaphorically, we saw it with the Pharisees and Sadducees, because they were preaching, saying that they're of God, but the whole time they were rejecting his word. So when we really consider it, in every part of it, this actually sounds like we're talking about the Pharisees and Sadducees, metaphorically speaking. And the instruments of those that are greedy, those that are trying to keep what's theirs, well, why was it that the Bible showed when we read through it that even the ones that did believe in Jesus, that were the Pharisees and Sadducees, still rejected it even though they believed and understood? Do you remember, Charles?
Wasn't it because they love the things of man, or something like that? They love the things of the world.
Nope. It was because they didn't want to lose their position of authority. They were worried about getting kicked out or losing their position of authority. Sounds a lot like what's happening in 7. They devise wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaks right. Those who are in need are speaking the right things, but they're devising lies to not do the right thing. And then it points out, but the liberal devises liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Now, what was liberal again, Charles?
Um, sharing the wealth for no reason, abundantly.
Mm-hmm. So the liberal, the one who's bountiful or wants to give things out, just wants to give everything away, they devise plans to do liberal things, to give everything away. And by that, they're going to stand. Why would that bring up anything of rise up ye women that are at ease? So when we look at it, if you don't see the point, you'll miss the connection. 6 is connected to the previous verses, and 7 is technically. This is another one where we'd have to do section, but a few of the we have to explain every verse because of it. 6 is definitely connected to the previous. 7 is quite possibly, and I would say definitely, but quite possibly connected to 6. So there's two ways that we can do this section based on the possible connections versus the legitimate ones. 6 and 7 for the possible, 8 through 10 for the possible. But because we don't have like, well, 8 through 10, I would say definitely is connected, but we don't have 100% confirmation. So it's a most likely. So if we do only for what's confirmed, 6 is by itself, 7 is by itself, 8 is by itself, and then you have 9 and 10 together. But for the most likely connection, 7 and 6 are connected, and then 8 through 10 are connected. Now, I'm going to go through piece by piece. I already explained 6. I went the wrong route on the order, and I apologize for that. So I already explained how 6 and 7 are most likely connected. But now 8 through 10. Charles, I'm going to give you the chance first because this should be straightforward based on what we've already said, what the word means. But I want to see if you can catch it. How is it that 8 through 10 is connected?
Let me read nine. Let me read 9 and 10 real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Now, you're with the connection doesn't have to do with this whole liberal thing. How these women are, their women are at ease because of because of that liberal mindset, because of the liberal ways, careless because of that as well, and then we're giving a warning to them as well. So 9 is
Okay,
letting
you
them
didn't
know, like,
explain that. You need to do a better job on your explanations. You didn't explain like how is it what is the liberal way that is impacting it? You can't use the word when you're supposed to be explaining it. What is the liberal way?
the liberal way, as in like the abundance for free, giving away the abundance for nothing,
Yeah,
not working hard for
there we
things,
go.
not preserving things that you're supposed to,
Because think
not.
about it from the perspective from the listener. If you heard somebody say the women, because of the way the liberal ways are, the women are at ease. Did you just explain anything from the listener's perspective?
Somebody just got on. No,
You see what I'm saying? So you need to make sure you're actually explaining it. This is where I tell you where you're just reading the word rather than actually explaining it. Because the word liberal, you and I know what it means from what it was looked up, but it's what we looked up and found. That's why it matters. Because what if liberal had meant something else? You see what I'm saying?
hmm
So try again with the with what you were going to explain about how they're connected.
So what I was thinking about is how they're connected. When you're talking about women at ease, daughters that are careless, these are the ones that are they believe in that same concept. They live in that same concept of giving away all this money for without working hard, spreading the wealth for no reason. That's why they're at ease. That's why they're careless because of them living in that mind, living in that way, having that mindset, not working hard for things, not saving and preserving things as they should be.
Exactly. Good. So because the liberal is devising liberal things, ability to trying to give things out to everybody for free, it caused to where the women don't need to work. Well, what's one thing that women don't need to worry about if everything is given out for free, Charles?
They don't have to worry about bills, taxes. You giving it out for free, you do whatever you want. You don't have
Hmm.
to worry about the list goes on things you don't have to worry about. These
But
days, you only got to worry
but
about taking care of
Charles,
your kids.
I'm gonna specify the question. I thought I didn't need to, but I'm gonna specify it. We're talking about Bible times.
You're not worried about your salvation. You ain't worried about your soul because of that. You mean in that sense?
Nope. You're not worried about a husband either. How you can't work at the same rate. You can't do as much openly in Bible times. We had examples with the Jewish folk where they did have it happen, but it wasn't like that everywhere. There were a lot of places where women really couldn't work like that. And if they weren't married, they had to get married first. And wouldn't even let them be around all these men without it unless they already had a husband or whatever, or they're planning to get married to one of the men. So that's the point. So you don't have to worry about your food, your housing, anything. And because of that, you don't have to worry about the husband either. Now that has an impact on the temple. That has an impact on the church. Look at women today. How many women are really willing and really looking for a husband? And I mean like at the same way that women in Bible times were, Charles.
Not many. Not many. Not many. It's a very small percentage.
Yeah, that most of them don't even know how to cook. They think their looks are enough. This is the funny part about it. It's not even intimacy. Not even intimacy. It's company. They think they look good enough. They think that just being around them is enough for them to have value. If I don't feel like having sleeping with my husband, I don't need to sleep with my husband. What is your value? Because the man of the house is taking care of the bills. Even in today's standards, they want to be all modern women when it comes to not have to when it comes to independence and choice, but they don't want to be modern women when it comes to bills. They still want the man to take care of it. As stupid as that sounds. So the man is taking care of all the bills. Man is taking care of the house. A lot of the women don't even know how to clean properly. So what is your value? You bring nothing to the table. You bring nothing to the home. And you're not the table because you're not even stable yourself. There's nothing to feast here. So, in all aspects of it, it boils down to break down the whole entire family unit. And then looking at 10, where it said, for the vintage shall fail. Look up the word vintage, Charles.
From H1219 clipped. That is the grape crop.
Hmm. So the crop's going to fail. The great crop. So it's going to be a long time. You're going to have a lot of troubles because you're being careless, because you're having everything just handed to you. All because you wanted the handouts instead of doing the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'm writing it down now.
And I'll add as a side note, this doesn't even sound like Bible times that it's talking about. This actually sounds like women today.
It does actually sound when you put it that way. Yeah.
This is quite possibly prophetic language of towards the end times. Because even today, everything's handed on a silver platter to them. Men have to work for everything that they want in life. Women, 99% of them, even if you do have to work, you barely do. There's so many programs, so many other things to help you out that you don't even really have to work. I mean, think about it this way, not just women, but everybody today with the handouts. They consider a full work week 40 hours. Charles, prior to us being truck drivers, we considered a full work week to be a 40-hour work week.
Hmm. Anything after 40 was just overtime or extra for something else.
Exactly. Now, if we look at it from the perspective and understanding now as truckers, is a 40-hour work week a full work week?
No, not even close. Not enough. Not enough.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, do you have anything you want to add or say before we go to the final section? Now would be the time to raise your hand.
No, no.
All right. Then go ahead, Charles, when you're ready.
I'll be reading Isaiah chapter 32, verses 11 to 15. Give it a couple seconds. Verse 11. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briers, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. Because the palaces shall be forsaken, the multitude of the city shall be left, the forts and towers shall be for dens forever, a joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks, until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. So 11 still connected to your last your verse with 10. So that's still connected.
Exactly.
So I have 11 connected for then the yeah. So I have 11 because it's connected with 10. Um could I? They shall lament for teats, for the pleasant fields and for the fruitful vine. So we got them trembling in fear, wearing the sackcloth. We got them mourning. Actually, I want to 11 and 12. I got 11 as a section. I got 12 as a section. And then I got 13 to 15 as a third section.
Okay. What makes you separate 11 and 12?
So 11 still part of that, you're going to fear that warning of, not warning, but you're going to fear. And the women we've been talking about in the previous one, stripping them to their sackcloth.
Mm-hmm.
But then separate from the well, not separate from the fear. 11's the fear. 12 is them the mourning, the lamenting for the teats. Let me go to teats and write this down because you brought this up before, but that might be in my other book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is I want to say a Bible study friendly. Female part to the chest.
I mean, it is Bible study friendly because animals have teats.
So breasts, teeth to the breast.
Yeah.
So the lament part, the mourning, the mourning for the breast. Sorry, and for the fields, the pleasant fields, fruitful vines. um, the reason why I separate is because we have fear on one side, then we have the mourning for the other side. But I still could put that together because it's still talking about the same people, still talking about those careless women.
Okay. You're wrong in your reasoning. Right? And it should be separated, but not for the reason you put. The reason you put would mean they need to be together.
I was thinking about, well, the original reason was you got them fearing and putting on the sackcloth, and then the next one was mourning for something else, not like something else, but they're mourning for the fields. You're in fear on one side, but you're mourning for something else. That was my original thought on why I should separate those two. 11
But
being a section,
is
12
that
should be in a
really that
section.
much of a difference? Like if I'm telling you you're gonna fear for something, and I tell you in the next sentence, and you're gonna mourn for something, what am I describing? I'm describing you still having problems,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So how is that separate?
That's why I was thinking like that because they're having problems. That's why I wanted to put them together because it's still talking about those women having those issues.
No. But it's not just that. That's why I said you're right in saying they should be separated, but you're wrong in your reasoning. In 12, they shall lament for teats, for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. What do all three of those have in common? Bountifulness. If we're talking about lamenting for the teats, we're talking about bountiful breasts. We're so focused on it that it's there. Well, would you lament for teats if the only kind of teats you've known is a flat chest, Charles?
All I know is that. Why would I lament for it? No, I'm not.
See what I'm saying? So we're talking about comparison of bountifulness. The pleasant fields. What makes the fields pleasant? Well, they have
Well,
everything that you need.
mhm.
For the fruitful vine, what's the difference between that and another vine? The fruitfulness. So all the things that they had that were bountiful are gone. Regretting, wishing they still had it. So I would say they still should be separate, but your reasoning was wrong because if we're just talking about it from the teat perspective, women lamenting for the teats, and we're talking about the women being trembling and that they need to tremble and be troubled because they're careless. Well, that would connect to it if we're only talking from that perspective. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Now you could connect them still because it's talking from them lamenting for the teat, you wish you still had it, and we're just talking about the women who are careless. Well, if the women are careless, and we just talked about the liberal and how the liberal works, they have everything they need. This would point to being connected in that aspect because it would relate to husbandry or to having husbands. You don't need a man to take care of you. You don't get married as much. You don't seek it out because you have what you need.
Hmm.
So they shall lament for the teats would be others are lamenting for the teats, not the women. So it can go either side on that. Now, as towards 13, 14, and 15, you're correct. Those are all three connected.
Got it.
But now go ahead with the explanation.
So verse 11, we're telling those same women to fear, to be troubled, and to wear when they're wearing that sackcloth to humble yourself. Ah, man, I wish I. I wish I could still listen to him, but Kendrick has a great song. I don't listen to him no more, but
Be humble.
yes, be humble. Fear, be troubled, and be humble. Oh, it's a great song for this point. Um, Next with verse 12, when they're talking about the lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. You just brought up something that I didn't think about, having though all those three have in common the bountifulness. So you're mourning because you're not going to have the bountifulness of the breast, the bountifulness of the fields, the fruits and vines. I'm sorry, Matt. Why does some of the stuff that I got to explain? This was funny. Some of the stuff I got to explain. This is actually a funny Bible study. It shouldn't be, but
Well, it's just hilarious that you stuttered on the stutter word, and
that
then this happens.
I know. The stutter when I can't. That's so funny. Oh, I can't even laugh right. And then verse
You
13.
laugh as a stutter.
That what it was. We'll talk about it after because I'm gonna do
You're
it
still
again.
doing it.
Let me get to verse 13. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briers, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. Now he's talking about this land having all the thorns and briars, like the we know what thorns and briars are, the little prickly things coming out of the vines, and wasteful things that comes out of the coming out of the vines. They're going to be all over the land, all over these joyous houses. But there's a reason for it. 14 gives us the reason because the palaces shall be forsaken, left
Hmm.
behind. The multitude of the city shall be left behind. The forts and the towers shall be for dens forever. A joy of wild asses. That sounds like a joy for the donkeys. Oh, no one's here. Yeehaw! We got all the we could do
Yeah,
whatever
we
we
got all
want.
this room. Yeah, yeah.
A pasture for flocks, a pasture for the farm animals. So the farm animals can do whatever they want. They're having a ball out there because it's forsaken, it's left behind. They're the only ones left.
Exactly.
And then it adds another detail. Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. I don't want to overthink this. We got the reason why the place is going to be empty and forsaken, or why the place is going to be for thorns and briers. We got the reason in 14. It was what the way we use until in the Bible's what the I don't want to overthink that because I just forgot it.
Yeah. Was that a question?
No, I was just telling you like I was
Oh,
telling you like I didn't want I was telling you that like if I'm telling you that to let you know I don't want to throw no guess, I don't want to throw no dumb answer. Let me think of this because I completely forgot how we use until in the Bible. I need to think about this before I throw something out there that don't make no sense. That's completely left field.
well, until is used the same way as today. That's not one of the ones that's used differently.
Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high.
Yeah.
Oh wait, okay. So this land will be wasted. It will be for the farm animals
Yeah. There you go.
until, because like I said, I'm trying not to overthink it because I got stuck. It will be a wasteful land, wasted land where all the farm animals will be until the Spirit is poured on us from
Exactly.
high, which is from heaven. Until the Spirit is poured on us from heaven, then the wilderness will be a fruitful field. Then the fruitful field will be this forest. It'll be this way until. Okay, that's what it's saying. Sorry, man. Like I said, I was overthinking it, and yeah. It's just saying all of this, and then it'll be this way until the Spirit comes from heaven to be poured on us. Got it. That's what it's saying. We'll have a fruitful field after the Spirit is poured on us. Boom.
Exactly. Now, we got two potentials for 15 and what that means in the side note or prophetic speech. What are the two potentials that could be for prophetic speech? You should know one
Um.
because of our reading, and you should be able to know one by basic common logic, A to B to C method.
I should, but I'm totally blanked out.
What happened in Acts chapter 2?
I don't remember what happened to Acts chapter 2. I'm gonna have to go to it. Which
Mm-hmm.
verse?
Start from verse 1.
Verse 1 and go all the way till
Hmm. You'll see it.
Acts chapter 2, verse 1. And when the day of the Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance.
Mm-hmm.
The Spirit coming into them, the Spirit, yeah. So the Spirit coming into them in the sense of the Holy Ghost coming into them. You're talking about that being one of them.
Exactly. That's one of them. And that's the one from reading. Now, the next one of the two, you should be able to get from logically. When could it possibly be that the Spirit would pour down on us from on high, if not talking about that time?
If you're not talking about that time, then you have to be talking about after you followed the steps correctly and got baptized correctly.
Isn't that in the same time frame, Charles? I just said if not that time.
Well, that time, well, yeah, that is time frame because it's then and then it's now. That's the same time frame. New Testament.
So again, logically, that process of elimination is part of it. If not that, then when?
I can only think of New Testament. I don't have an Old Testament one in my mind right now.
All right. How about when everything is done and the world is done?
End times. That's still New Testament,
No, it's not. We're in the New Testament now. The
right?
New Testament started then. Would the end of the earth be part of the New Testament?
It'll be the end of the New Testament.
Yeah, but it's not part of the New Testament. Charles, think about that for a second. When we say New Testament, and I just brought up about the baptism and all that, when did that start? When did that happen? When did the
The New
Spirit pour
Testament.
out? Charles, if you say that, answer again. Come on. When did it happen? When did that start? The New Testament is a generic term. We're in the New Testament now. Did it start yesterday, Charles?
It didn't start yesterday.
Okay, so when did it start?
And Jesus rose from the third day.
Yes. No, not actually, no, not when he rose the third day. After he ascended. Did we read the Spirit? When is Acts chapter 2 happening? That's after
That
Jesus
happened
already went
after
up.
that. He already went up.
Yeah, so New Testament is that's not an accurate term. Do you see what I'm saying? They were in the New Testament even before the Spirit poured out. Right or wrong?
Right.
So is New Testament the right answer?
No.
You sound like you don't understand why it's not the right answer. Like you're just saying it because to say it.
Well, you're saying it's not a. So you're saying when I brought up the New Testament, you're saying it's not an accurate answer is because New Testament is too broad. There's a lot of points in the New Testament, but the New Testament is just too broad.
Yeah. And when the world ends, are we in the New Testament?
It's the
No.
end. No, it's the
It's
end.
the end of everything, right?
Right.
So when you say New Testament, you got 2,000 years to work with. But that's not the only problem. They didn't have the Spirit pour on them as soon as the New Testament started. Because when did the New Testament start?
And Jesus went up after the rising.
Wait, okay, you got to re-explain that. You were either right or wrong, but based on what you said, it could have gone either way.
Jesus ascending after coming up from the third day. Jesus ascending to
No,
heaven.
no.
You said when did the New Testament start?
When did the New Testament start? Yeah,
What do you mean it didn't start when he rose up from heaven? Rose up
it
to
didn't.
heaven.
It did not. I'm gonna give you the exact verse. Keep this in mind because this is something you need to know. All right.
Go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 9. Let me know when you're there.
Give me a second.
Hmm.
Hebrews 9.
And you're gonna start from verse 15. No, actually, you know what? Start in verse 11, and you can finish with verse 17.
11 to 17. All right.
Actually, actually, no, no, no. 18. 11 to 18.
11 to 18. All right.
Hmm.
But Christ, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? Oh, that was a question. And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where testament is, there must also a necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead, otherwise is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood.
So when did the New Testament start?
When he put his body on the line and died.
Yeah, not his ascension, when he did the sacrifice and his death and burial. That was when the New Testament started. That's when the offering was made. So when the day of Pentecost came and the Spirit came upon them, that's a while after. That's days, if not a couple weeks after. So when you say New Testament, the question becomes, okay, when are you talking about? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
And you've given that answer before, and I haven't really called you on it, but I have to call you on that from now on because you can't just say New Testament. Because if we're talking about let's say, for example, we're talking about when Jesus was on the earth. That's the New Testament.
Mhm.
But what if the prophecy is talking about the kingdoms of today, like the prophecy we had of the empires through the beast and the animals, right?
Mhm.
If you answer New Testament, did you actually answer the question?
I'll just give a broad sense. I'll just give some broad answer of where it could be.
Exactly. So then, from the perspective of the teacher, do I know if you actually understand what it's saying at all?
Then no,
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So you can't use broad, like, here, let me put it this way. I've said this before, and this is a perfect way to put it. When the verses are broad, you need to be broad. When the verses are specific, you need to be specific. So if we're talking about a time where the Spirit was poured out, is that a broad thing or is that a specific thing?
A little bit more specific than me throwing out a broad answer.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. So after all that, now do you understand where the second possibility is?
I need to remember the question. Could you repeat the question for me?
Yep. There's two possible times that verse 15 could be talking about. Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. There's two possible time frames that could be talking about. One, you should know from reading. The other, you should know from logic, thinking about it logically. And I also included in the hints to keep in mind process of elimination. Now we just went through the one, which was the day of Pentecost, when the Spirit was poured out. When else might that be?
Wait. Oh, wait. Didn't you did you give the answer already of the end times or no?
Yeah, but I was kind of hoping you forgot so you can like figure it out. All right, anyways, yeah, when everything is gone, when Jesus returns. It could be talking about that time frame. Now, if we're talking about most likely, which one are we talking about, Charles?
Most likely we got to be talking about end times.
What?
How could it be the other time? For the most likely.
Because it literally said that the Spirit was poured out on them and they spoke with tongues. It was the fulfillment of the prophecy of Joel if you keep reading in Acts 2.
That part I get, but in verse 15, until the Spirit be poured upon us from high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and a fruitful field be counted for a forest. I understood the part of speaking in tongues, but
All right. You're thinking about it too literally. What have we been talking about in this whole section, generically speaking?
for this section, I had to go back. Land will be empty until the Spirit be poured upon you. In the words.
Yeah. Everything that we've been reading about is they don't have all their necessities because they screwed around one way or another. But then they'll be okay, they'll be taken care of when this time frame happens. What does Jesus refer to himself as that we read about yesterday and day before? Or we talked about yesterday and day before? The living water. Remember a couple chapters ago, we were reading about where it said that this is where you will be refreshed, restored. Do you remember that?
A little bit.
I took you to the verse in the New Testament where Jesus literally talks about himself, that
Being the
this is where
living
the,
waters.
yeah. So, long story short, we're talking about the same possibility. Well, if we're talking about the wilderness be a fruitful field, what's in the wilderness? It's the middle of nowhere. What's a
Hmm.
fruitful field? We have crops, you have produce. How does the Bible describe reaching out and gaining new people for Christ?
Oh man, that's how I got it wrong. Okay, man, it's something about being fruitful when you're able to get to other people, bring other people to the church. Something about that. You
Exactly.
know which one I'm talking about. I'm trying to
Yes.
get it out.
You
Okay,
have
so
to show the
yeah,
fruits of repentance.
yeah. Now I see why it should have been around that time then, instead of the end time.
Exactly. And when it talks about the fruitfulness, it's not talking about food or fruit at all. Now, obviously, we don't have 100% confirmation on it. That's why both are possible. But the
Hmm.
most likely is that time because we have heard those references before. Fruitful has been referenced to reproduction since Genesis 1. It has been used for reproduction reference throughout the entire Bible. So, in a wilderness, think about that for a minute. Is a fruit field a wilderness, Charles?
Fruitfield's a farm, the way we think about it.
Exactly. No, not the way we think about it, period.
Yeah.
The wilderness is not a fruit field. The wilderness is just a random forestry,
Hmm.
random area. So, and it's also described, it's also used. How many times have we heard about the wilderness? It's always referenced to the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
Whether they're wandering through the wilderness on the way to Mount Sinai, or we have different kinds of wilderness, but it's always the middle of nowhere referencing. So the wilderness or middle of nowhere becoming a fruitful field. Well, when Jesus was on earth and afterwards, when they started preaching and reaching people, they were in the middle of the wilderness, if you look at it metaphorically speaking. There was nobody, there was nothing. The Pharisees weren't trying to follow God. There was nothing of reference really trying and doing the right thing, period, at all. And that's the bottom line. So, going from, and the wilderness will be a fruitful field, that sounds more metaphorical because a wilderness can't be a fruitful field. You could have a fruitful field in a wilderness, but a wilderness cannot be a fruitful field
Got it.
because they're, you see what I'm saying?
Got it.
And then it continues on to say, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. Well, is a fruitful field a forest? No.
No.
So then what would that be if we're talking metaphorically then? What's the difference between a fruitful field and a forest? Honestly, size. A forest is a massive area with greenery. So if a fruitful field is being counted for a forest, there has to be enough of a field for it to be looked at as a forest, size wise. And that's again, if we're talking from the metaphorical perspective.
Got it.
So most likely we're talking about the time of Christ and the New Testament coming out when the Spirit was poured out, which actually happened twice. It happened once on the Jews at the day of Pentecost, and it had been once on the Gentiles, as God used it to show that both have salvation available to them. All right. Now, anything you want to add or say before we pray out the Bible study portion?
Nope.
I don't know why I said it like that. All right. Then I'll go ahead and pray us out for the Bible study portion. Everybody bow your heads. Father, thank you for this time of study that we've had to be able to read more into chapter 32, to see the possibilities and the timelines of where things could be taking place and what these metaphor means, and to see the correlation of how it even impacts today. It's crazy how much in common the wickedness of women is that it's describing here as it is with modern women today. And it's crazy how the comparison of the wilderness to the fruitful land, and how you've used that to reference even sowing seeds. So, God, we pray that we're able to gain more understanding to be able to see the context in its full and there be no confusion. But at the same time, also, we're grateful for all the connections that we have in the Bible to every other part of the word. So we thank you and we praise you in your Son's holy and precious name, Jesus Christ, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Now, tonight's Bible listening. Let me scroll back up to it. Is Proverbs chapter 26 to Songs of Solomon chapter 2. Again, that's Proverbs chapter 26 to Songs of Solomon chapter 2. And let me know when you got it.
Got it.
All right. Now, last night's listening was Proverbs chapter 9 to 25. Go ahead, Charles, when you're ready with what stuck out to you.
All right, let me go to it real quick. This one's interesting. There were so many more important ones. Why this one stuck out? It's funny to me. It's just why this one and why today? Proverbs chapter 20, verse 11. Uh, on the notes, I put read the verse and then explain. Let me go to the verse. I haven't done that in a while. Oh, that's funny. Verse 11, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 11. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. Now, I, part of me thinks that the reason why this one stood out to me the most versus every other important one was because of when I'm talking to employers and applying for this and applying for that, my hard work. If you see my hard work, it speaks for itself. I don't like when other companies say things on my name and then they can't back it up or they can't prove it. I don't like when other companies, if I apply for a trucking job, they say he had an accident. And then when the employer looks it up, they say, well, Charles, we can't find the accident that they said you had because I never had one.
Yeah.
Charles, we can't find you abandoning equipment. With the last three companies, I didn't abandon their equipment. It's been a while since I've actually abandoned equipment. Well, Charles, we can't find this. We can't find that. That's because I didn't do it. My work
Well,
speaks for itself. But when it comes to them lying and saying this and saying that, well, you have to back it up if you're going to say that. If you say that, all they're going to say is we're going to ignore it, Charles, because they can't prove it. And it was dumb for us to even look into it in the first place since they can't prove it in the first place.
yeah. Not only that, but everything in life is like, look at the way it's phrased. This is not phrased in a way where it's trying to give a good nugget of information. This is phrased in a way like I'm calling you stupid. Like, bro, even a child
Hmm.
is judged by their doing, what they actually do. It's kind of like saying, like, what are we talking about here? So, hands down, yeah. And that's the other thing is when people lie about that. I mean, think about my life. When I look at everything I've been through in life, anytime something negatively impacted my life on a grand scale, it was it was always from somebody lying, saying I did something I didn't do. If there was something that I actually did, I never did anything that was really that bad. But the things that I got in trouble for, some of them were really bad, and I didn't do any of them. So All right, cool. Now, Charles, is there anything else you want to add on that one, or I gotta add something?
Nope. Nope.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I almost was about to tell you that this was not good for your point. Glad it stuck out to you, but your point matches with the same thing that's going on here, but in a different subject matter. Starting from in verse, where is it? Verse 5. Read from verse 5 to 11.
5 to 11. Verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from my sin? Divers weights, and
Hold on. That's diverse.
that
We've
is
gone through
diverse.
that many times.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
diverse.
diverse.
Okay. Diverse weights and diverse measures. Both of them are alike. Abomination to the Lord. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right.
So the subject matter is people claiming that they are right, that they're doing the right thing. I don't give a dang what you got to say. Even a child's behavior will show if it's actually pure or not. You think I'm going to judge you based on what you say? No, I'm going to judge based on what you do. I'm going to look at what you actually do, what you actually go forth to do. The only type of judging that's going to come from what you say is if what you say is something sinful, like lying or corrupt communication. Outside of that, I'm not taking your word. That's crazy. And that's what that's actually talking about. So, ironically, in your position, Charles, it actually is the opposite of what you're having happen. Instead of letting you show who you are, they're taking somebody else's word, claiming you are some kind of way. And then if they do give you a chance, they find out you're not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the opposite of what it's saying how it should work. And it's no wonder that so many companies are failing in so many ways. But anyways, now, for mine, I had multiple options in one chapter because I wrote it down one and then two more popped up in the same chapter. Chapter 15. Now, I was going to bring up 1 through 3, but I remember Thomas brought it up before about a soft answer turning away wrath. And then the other option was verse 10 to 13. And that one, I was debating on whether or not I'm going to put that one. It's about actually those who actually were willing to follow the correction. And then there was 32 and 33. They're both saying the same thing, but they say it in such different ways. So what I'm going to do, because there's only two of us, is I'm going to read both sections so we can see the why what was sticking out, because it's pretty obvious what was sticking out to me. So verse 10 to 13. Correction is grievous unto him that forsakes the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more then the hearts of the children of men? A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him, neither will he go unto the wise. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. So that's about correction and the ones that are unwilling to receive it. And it points out that the ones that aren't willing to receive it, they have forsaken the way. And when we think about all the situations and the way things that go, of course, being unwilling to receive correction means you have forsaken the way. How could it mean anything else? Because, and I'll put it as a form of a question, Charles, if I haven't forsaken the way, what would I do first if somebody corrects me, Charles?
Well, make sure, first of all, make sure that I can back up the correction. But if I can back it up, good. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take it.
exactly. First thing I'm gonna do if somebody corrects me, I'm not just gonna dismiss it and I'm not just gonna accept it. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure, is it legitimate? I'm gonna actually think about whether or not it's legitimate. And if it turns out it is legitimate, then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna accept it because my
Make the
goal
change.
is to do better, to be closer to God's ways as much as I can. And that's the point and the bottom line of the situation. That's what was going on here. But then I had to bring up from 32 and 33 because the way it says in 32, it's true. He that refuses instruction despises his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. So if you refuse instruction, you despise your own soul. Yeah, there's no other way to look at it when you're being honest about it. Because if somebody's giving you accurate or an honest correction and you don't want to receive it, what's the reason why you don't want to receive it? Because any correction that is accurate is something that impacts your soul, even if not directly. Charles, if I tell you how to parent your children, does that impact your soul?
If I was to go against it, yeah.
Well, no, whether you go against it or not. Because the moment you've heard from somebody how to raise your children, if what they did or say to you was wrong, you've heard some false teaching and you have to decide to reject it. That impacts your soul, whether you're going to reject the false teaching. And on the other side, if it's true and you don't implement it, then you've rejected godly advice. What kind of godly man would reject godly advice? So, of course, it impacts your soul, even indirectly. And that's the way it is for all instruction. Because if it's false instruction, you need to figure out if it is false first and then reject it. If it is true instruction, you need to figure out if it's true first and then accept it and make the changes. So that's why these ones stuck out to me. Anything you want to add or say, Charles?
No.
All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Actually, I'm going to call in you a second.